My hands shook as I held the faded adoption papers, hidden for decades in Mom's locked drawer. She lied my whole life, saying I was hers, but these papers screamed a truth that broke my heart. Before we start, let us know in the comment section where you're watching from. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more. I'm Ellie, 28, living in my childhood home with Mom. She's been acting weird, always locking her desk drawer. One night, while she slept, I grabbed the key from her nightstand. My heart raced as I opened it. Inside, I found a yellowed envelope labeled adoption. My name was on it. I sat on the floor, staring at the papers. They said I was adopted at birth, not Mom's biological kid. My whole life felt like a lie. Why would she hide this? I wanted to confront her, but fear stopped me. I barely slept, the papers burning a hole in my mind. At breakfast, Mom smiled like nothing was wrong, pouring coffee. I wanted to scream, "Why didn't you tell me?" But my throat felt tight. I hid the papers under my bed. I kept watching her, wondering who she really was. Did Dad know? He died when I was 10, so maybe he took the secret with him. I needed answers, but I didn't know where to start. I decided to dig deeper. The papers listed a lawyer, Mr. Thompson, from a nearby town. I Googled him and found he retired years ago, but was still alive. I called, pretending to be a client's daughter. He agreed to meet. Driving to his office, my stomach twisted. What if he told me something worse? I parked outside his small, run-down office, clutching the papers. This was my first step to the truth. Mr. Thompson was old, with shaky hands, but his eyes were sharp. I showed him the papers, and he nodded slowly. "I remember your case," he said. "Your mom wanted it sealed tight." He said my birth parents were young, gave me up to protect me. But he didn't know their names. Mom made sure of that. I left his office with more questions than answers, feeling lost. I couldn't hold it in anymore. That night, I waited until Mom was watching TV. "Why didn't you tell me I was adopted?" I asked, holding up the papers. Her face went pale. She stammered, saying she wanted to protect me, that she was scared I'd leave her. I felt angry but also sorry for her. She looked so small, like she was carrying a heavy secret too. Mom started talking, her voice shaky. She said she and Dad couldn't have kids. They adopted me through a private agency. She swore they planned to tell me, but it never felt right. I listened, but it hurt. Why wasn't I enough for the truth? She cried, saying she loved me like her own. I wanted to believe her, but I needed to know who I really was. The papers mentioned an adoption agency, Hope Haven, now closed. I found an old address online and drove there. It was just an empty building now, windows boarded up. A neighbor saw me and said the agency shut down years ago after some scandal. My heart sank. Was my adoption part of something shady? I needed to find out more. Back home, I searched online for Hope Haven. Old forums mentioned sketchy adoptions, maybe even illegal ones. My stomach churned. Was I part of that? I found a name, Susan Carter, a former worker. I tracked her down on social media. She lived 2 hours away. I sent her a message, saying I needed to talk about an adoption. She didn't reply, but I wasn't giving up. Days passed. No reply from Susan. I kept checking my phone, hoping. Mom noticed I was quiet but didn't ask why. I felt torn, angry at her, but also needing her comfort. I decided to drive to Susan's town. If she wouldn't answer online, I'd find her in person. I grabbed the papers and left, my heart pounding with hope and fear. Susan's house was small, with a neat garden. I knocked, and a woman with tired eyes answered. I showed her the papers and said, "I'm Ellie. I was adopted." She froze. She let me in but seemed nervous. She said she worked at Hope Haven but didn't handle my case. Something felt off. I pushed, asking for my birth parents' names. She wouldn't say. Susan slipped up, mentioning a nurse named Clara who worked at Hope Haven. I pressed, but she clammed up and asked me to leave. I drove home, mind racing. Clara was a lead. At home, I searched for Clara online. Nothing solid, But I found an old hospital record mentioning a nurse Clara in the same town as Hope Haven. Maybe she knew something. The hospital was still open, a big grey building. I went to the records office, pretending to research a family medical history. They let me see old staff lists. Clara's last name was Evans. I found her address in an online directory. She was retired, living nearby. My hands shook as I wrote it down. I was getting closer to the truth, but it scared me. Clara's house was cozy, with cat statues everywhere. She was old but warm, offering me tea. I showed her the papers. Her smile faded. "I remember you," she said softly. She said my birth mom was a scared teenager who begged for secrecy. Clara didn't know her name, but saw her leave with a man, maybe my dad. My heart raced. Clara's words stuck with me. A man with my birth mom. I asked for details, but she only remembered he had dark hair and a scar on his hand. It wasn't much, but it was something. I drove home, feeling a mix of hope and frustration. I told Mom about Clara. She looked worried, but didn't stop me. I knew I had to keep searching. I went to the town library, hoping for old records about Hope Haven. The librarian helped me find newspaper archives. One article mentioned a man linked to the agency, John Reed. The article said John was questioned about illegal adoptions but never charged. Could he be the man with the scar? I needed to find him. My search was getting deeper. John Reed wasn't easy to find. Online, I found an old address but no current info. I drove to the address anyway. It was a trailer park, and his trailer was empty. A neighbor said John moved years ago, maybe to the city. I felt stuck, but wrote down his last known job, a mechanic. Maybe I could find him there. I found a mechanic shop in the city where John might have worked. The owner remembered him but said he quit 5 years ago. He gave me John's last known address. I drove there, a small apartment building. My heart pounded as I knocked on the door. No answer. A neighbor said John moved out recently. Another dead end. Back home, I found an old forum post mentioning John Reed and a woman, possibly my birth mom, named Lily. My heart raced. Lily felt real, like a piece of me. I searched for Lily online and found a Lily Harper in a nearby city. Could it be her? I sent her a message, my hands shaking. This felt like my last shot. Lily replied the next day. She agreed to meet at a cafe. I couldn't believe it. I told Mom, and she looked scared but nodded. "Be careful," she said. At the cafe, I waited, clutching the papers. A woman walked in, maybe 40, with dark hair. My heart stopped. Was this my birth mom? Lily sat down, her eyes searching mine. I showed her the papers. She nodded, tears forming. "I'm your mom," she said. She was 16 when she had me, scared and alone. She said John, my dad, left her before I was born. She gave me up to keep me safe. I felt angry, sad, and relieved all at once. Lily told me about her life. She was poor, scared, and John pressured her to give me up. She regretted it every day. She showed me a locket with my baby picture. I cried, holding the locket. I wanted to hate her, but I couldn't. She was part of me. I needed time to process, but I felt a connection. I went home and told Mom about Lily. She cried, saying she was scared I'd leave her. I hugged her, promising I wouldn't. She was still my mom, always. But I felt torn. 2 moms, 2 truths. I needed to figure out how they fit in my life. I decided to keep seeing Lily, slowly. Lily gave me John's new address. I drove to his apartment, nervous. He opened the door, a tired man with a scarred hand. My heart stopped. It was him. He didn't know about me. When I told him, he looked shocked, then sad. He said he wasn't ready to be a dad back then. I didn't know how to feel. John invited me in. He said he loved Lily, but was young and scared. He didn't know I was born. He showed me old photos of him and Lily, smiling. I felt sorry for him, but also angry. He missed my whole life. We talked for hours, but I wasn't ready to forgive him yet. I kept seeing Lily and Mom, balancing both. Lily became a friend, not a replacement. Mom relaxed, seeing I still loved her. John stayed distant, but I was okay with that. I looked at the adoption papers one last time, then tucked them away. They didn't define me anymore. I was Ellie, with 2 families, and I was enough.